During the mid-1970s, jazz hybrids were thriving around the world. You had jazz mixed with rock, jazz mixed with funk, and another interesting, although less common hybrid was the electrification of the big band. And one such example of that was from the Polish band leader Jan Wróblewski, who teamed with the BRT Jazz Orchestra for his 1976 album, Skleroptak. And from that album, the track
Strzeż Się Szczeżui.
B flat. Hear those vibraphones in there? I like the soothing tones mixed with like the trumpet. Notice how like the horns are playing like in like this mid octave, and the vibraphone is just accenting like at a higher octave. I think we got some major seventh chords here. That tone is so soothing right there. Let's see who we've got here. Saxophone, we have got, aside from our main guy on tenor saxophone, Jan Ptaszyn Wróblewski, we have Eddy DeVos, Guy Dossche, Jose Paessens, and Vic Ingleveld. And on trombone, we've got Eddy Verdonck, Frans van Dijck, and Paul Bauwens. I could really murder some of these pronunciations. Trumpet, we've got Edmund Harney, Janet Morales, and Nick Fassetti. Wow, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 horn players in addition to our lead guy. I'm not seeing any other like woodwind credit, although I thought I heard some other instruments. And well, vibraphone is played by one Sadie Lallemande, who born in 1927. Yeah, I think we have some kind of old timers here. Jan Wróblewski was 40 when this album was recorded, but that some of the age of some of the players on here may explain why we're getting kind of more of like a 40s sound updated for the 70s, as opposed to say like a post-bop sound or a soul jazz sound updated for the 70s. That's a very beautiful way to pivot like half a step they really found quite a lot of melodic contour to fit into just like a half step going to ba ba B flat A B, you know. Going between major sevenths and like combination polychords of some kind. Like I'll pick out like a C major seventh, and then I'll hear like a, and then it goes into a chord that seems to be a combination of. I get a real romantic vibe from this, although the title, all I could get translated were the first two words, beware of, and then there was no translation for that third word in the title. So, your guess is as good as mine as to what the plot behind the music could be, what the story that the Vignet, or that may have been in the minds of the composer. The cover of this album, interestingly enough, has what appears to be the silhouette, the white silhouette against a red background of a chicken, yet instead of feet, the lower extremities are affixed with human hands. Surreal, that's all I can say. Out like four textures here. We've got like the bass that's really active. We've got the drumming that's kind of light yet driving things along, and we've got the real fluid tones of the sax, and piano that's just lightly accenting certain key moments. Playing with brushes, I believe, on the drums. It's like sax is just so soothing, but do you hear that little piano just kind of tinkle lightly underneath certain notes, just adding a little bit of glow, sparkle to it all. The bass work is very understated, yet it's very persistent. You can't help, you cannot help but notice it though. It's like adding shade. It's adding a bit of warmth to it all, and things out in the way. It's not necessarily the kind of bass work that you would notice in a denser arrangement, but things are just kind of quiet enough for it to be a bit more prominent than it might otherwise be. Because it's so like muffled almost, or like matted in the mix. You can't really hear the bass strokes. It's just like reverberations of the bass. Such a just fluid, restrained mastery of his instrument. You can tell that it seems like he's just really taking it easy on the thing, and just the notes are kind of oozing out. Sound great in a ballroom. It's like some of these lines, they take quite a while to resolve. Even though we're not really playing the main melody, the main theme of the track, there's a strong melodic undercurrent to what we're hearing now. It's just, it's not a very compact melody. It's a very long, like resolving one. I could see this being sort of nostalgic for people who heard it when it came out. Like, for 1976, this seems like it could have been a rather comforting record for people of that era who may have longed for the 50s, perhaps the early 50s, the 40s even, perhaps even the people who were just nostalgic for an earlier era. I could see this being a very warming listen. sharp turn right there. The way the tonic goes from like C major 7th to that kind of plunge it goes into. Beautiful. There you had it. Yeah, the track
Strzeż się Szczeżui.
by Jan Wróblewski. Yeah, the Polish musician, composer, arranger, conductor. He's also a journalist, or has been at some point. Considered the godfather of Polish jazz. And he formed many young jazz artists during the 1960s and led the Polish radio jazz studio in the 1970s, which helped the Polish jazz scene to keep its diversity. That's what they say here on Discogs. And as a band leader, was releasing albums as far back as 1972. And this being, he had a few collaborative efforts, but this one from 1976, Skleroptak, released on the Pole Jazz label, perhaps his most popular on a release on a universal scale. Yeah, the Polish jazz scene though was quite diverse, and this representing somewhat more of a traditional sound, like big band mixed with some like modern instrumentation here and there. Not so much on this track, but on others. There's a bit of guitar on the album. And of course, Poland is also like the place that gave us Michael Urbaniak and his wife Ursula Dudziak, and they who migrated to the States, but yeah, just a thriving scene, Poland in the 1970s. For more rubies and sapphires from this and other Polish jazz and rock albums, see the directory of albums from Eastern Europe linked in the description. It's got all the albums of significant artists between like 1970 thereabouts to the mid-80s from Poland, as well as other former Eastern Bloc nations like Czechoslovakia, or the former Slovenia and the Czech Republic, the former Czechoslovakia, the former Yugoslavia, Romania, Hungary. Yeah, they're all in there, and even a few of the smaller territories, and Russia, the former Baltics, and the Balkan, even the Balkan Peninsula, and such. And follow me on social media to know when the next video is coming out, and leave a comment of anything that stood out to this track to your ears, or observations you would like to make. And like and subscribe, and until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear-travel tri-maximalist, signing off.